today we're going to attempt to convert this dolly from Tractor Supply from a two-wheel dolly with this very narrow wheelbase to a four-wheel dolly that will have two additional wheels on the outside of this, hopefully providing a lot more stability when on uneven terrain while moving a bounce house to and from the truck. We have a 5/8 zinc plated rod here from Tractor Supply, 36-inch rod. We have 5/8 14 gauge washers. Then we have these shaft collars, these locking collars to hold everything in place, and Tractor Supply dolly wheels, which are identical to the ones that are already on the dolly itself. So we're going to attempt to take these and convert this into a much more stable platform. Okay, so the first thing that we have to do is we're going to have to remove these cotter pins from the inside and the outside of the axle to remove the current short axle and replace it with the longer one. There's also one cotter pin in here that's already removed, but you can see the holes for it. That cotter pin is in there to keep the axle from spinning while it's in motion. Now that the axle or the cotter pins are out, we can remove the axle. It should just slide out. In this one, I'm attempting to put the new axle in without using any cotter pins, because this axle is not drilled for cotter pins. So if this doesn't work, then we'll have to go back and add cotter pins to it later by drilling it, or at least one cotter pin to it for the slot here that keeps it from spinning. So if we can't figure out a way to keep that from spinning, or if that causes a problem, then we'll have to come back and try to drill this for a cotter pin there. But we're going to attempt this without it first and see how it goes. So the first thing we're going to have to do, the axle in this side and put one of our locking collars on the axle so that it is up against the outside here. And actually, we're not going to put a washer there because we're going to hope that this will help prevent the axle from spinning. But with that in place, we'll need to put a washer on the inside of it here before we put the axle or the wheel back on the axle. And then we're going to put another collar on the outside of this. Alright, so we'll slide this over. We're going to take this wheel, we're going to put one of the original washers back on the inside of here. back on. Put another washer back in, along with this collar. Another collar here, a washer. Next wheel. And a washer and a collar. Slide this through. Put a collar on the outside here. Then collar, a washer. And we're going to put a couple of washers here as spacers for this. And see how much space that gives us. Okay. And then put the large washer, a collar. Go back to this side. Do the same thing. The collar. Some washers. And a collar. So now what we have is we have a collar on each side of each wheel, as well as a collar that you can't see in here that's going to prevent the axle from sliding back and forth. The collar and washers on each side of each wheel. And so we will attempt to tighten these down and see how it goes. Determine the right size of Allen wrench for these. I've done this before, but why do that when you can do it on video? Okay, you have the correct size, or so it appears. Now, I'm going to try to evenly space this. Okay. And then we need to come in here and tighten the this interior collar. Be easier probably to take the wheel off and do that. So this one will hopefully prevent the axle from sliding back and forth. That is the intent of it. Okay. Come down to this end, do the same thing. I'm going to slide it up tight to the side there. And hopefully it'll have enough purchase there to keep the axle from spinning. And we want to put our outside wheel on and make sure that we're leaving enough space so that we don't have to worry about it ever rubbing inside the bars of the dolly. Once we have that position determined, we can tighten it a bit and then slide the wheel off to get better access, and then tighten it on down. To make sure that this is tied up against here to hopefully give us a little more grip on this to keep it from spinning. We will see how that works. Hopefully it goes well. Appears to be good. So we're tight up against here. We have just a little bit of play right here. Those should hold. And then we'll do the same thing to this side. What was a two-wheel dolly is now a four-wheel dolly, and hopefully with that extra 8 inches or so, it will provide a lot more stability when on uneven ground or even hitting small holes in the yards and fields where we pull these bounce houses to keep it from wanting to turn over. As you can see here, wheels that I got, I had the tires already mounted, and they're 12 by 5 wheels. These are from Tractor Supply. You could probably get the same type of thing from Harbor Freight for a little cheaper, but I just got everything in one place. They're exactly the same as the wheels that came on the dolly when I bought it. Everything, they seem to be exactly the same tread pattern and everything. So they've been, they fit perfectly. The bore shaft collars that I used were from Tractor Supply. These actually came from Amazon. They're the same thing, slightly different material, but they're going to work just as well. These are like $15 for 8. I paid a little more from Tractor Supply, but I was wanting to get them in time and get this done quickly before the next delivery. So I had paid a little more, but I have these for if I want to convert another one to same type of setup. And then the washers were just a machinery bushing set, 5/8 inch by 14 gauge machinery bushings from Tractor Supply. It came in a set of 12. Any Tractor Supply should carry it.